All right, everyone, here we are with ticker symbol NIO, NIO Inc. And before we jump into this chart, I want to say welcome to all the first-time viewers and investors. Welcome to the channel, Invest for Tomorrow. To all the subscribers, welcome back, and let's jump into this chart. So NIO Inc. is pulling away from our support, broke through resistance, broke through the 50-day moving average, and is currently sitting at 43.40, and it's pulling away from $38. So we're still seeing NIO hang out in that channel. Like I said, staying around this area, and it needs to consolidate. But this is pretty volatile, you know, this up and down pretty sharp. Now it's bringing itself back up. The question is, could it actually continue and build like a staircase effect and kind of hang out, you know, kind of sell off a little bit due to some profit taking, you know, healthy profit taking, and then, you know, bringing itself sideways for quite some time, and it brings itself back up and comes back down, and we continue in that direction until the next breakout like we used to see in the previous times, right? Those consolidation periods and then the breakouts, the consolidation period and then the breakouts. And it did that leading all the way up to like $25, and from that point forward it ran pretty significantly, right, to the 40s, and then it got even crazier towards the 60s. If this holds itself up above $38 and slowly works its way closer to $50 or the high 40s, this could be on its way to $60 leading into NIO Day. That's a possibility. I'm not guaranteeing it, and I'm not predicting it. That's not what I like to do. But just based off the chart overall, it's a possibility, and it's kind of showing that. But right now, the most important thing, even if it doesn't hit 60, and I know we want to see NIO run up, right? Anybody that's invested in NIO, you just want to see it run up. The higher it goes, the happier you are. But going up too fast is not a good thing. So even if on NIO Day it doesn't break 60, which is kind of almost unavoidable, I think they can possibly do that. There's potential there. There's room for that. They got close to 60 without even NIO Day, right? Just running up, institutional investors buying, people coming in, the hype, the speculation, and the healthy growth leading on to this point. But if it doesn't break through 60, that could be a good thing too. It doesn't mean that it has to, but it could and it should onto those directions due to the fact that there's going to be a lot of hype and speculation leading up toward those days, and a lot of great news too. According to how that NIO Day goes, that event, it could actually shift investors and institutional investors to come on in or come on out and kind of rebalance this whole entire chart overall that's been going for a whole year. I personally believe that this is going to continue to grow as long as they continue to deliver. They continue to do what they're doing. They bring in real revenue. Real cars are being made and manufactured, and real innovation is being implemented. NIO has room. NIO has room to grow, but towards NIO Day, there's going to be some hype and speculation. We're going to have to see how it reacts after, because according to how well that day goes and how investors are feeling and their sentiment about the company overall and the forward outlook, it can tell you a lot about how the rest of the year is going to go for the company and what they're doing for the upcoming years and even the upcoming months and how people are going to play it out next year. But right now, it's okay for it to be in this area. I know that we saw it go to these highs, and if anybody got in around this area, it's kind of like, I want my money back. Like, am I going to have to cut my losses and so forth? I completely get it, but as an investor, no one really saw this, you know, going down. We needed to watch it carefully. We needed to watch every support level. Right now, the most important support level is $38. And when this uncertainty happened, that should have been pretty much a big red flag. And then leading up to these highs, that a pullback was going to happen, because look how fast it pulled back just because of a short seller announcement and article. So anything after that, I would have been very cautious and vigilant of how this was reacting, and it hit the peak of about $58 and some change, And then the whole entire uncertainty with delisting of China stocks, the vote was coming up, and then candy stock had a terrible effect on the whole Chinese market, not just EV, Chinese market. And it was two ways to look at it: a discount of an opportunity, or basically a realization of, is this what you really are for investing? Like, are you for investing in companies that could possibly come out in an article saying that they are going to get delisted, or they are skeptical, or they're fabricating sales? All those risks come with these companies. But for the most part, you can't compare candy directly to NIO, but indirectly you can. They're from the same area, they're in the same sector, and indirectly they could affect one another. And that's how we've seen this spiral effect here. There's been a lot of things, but we're above the $38 mark. We're pulling back up, and we're seeing it go up, go down, go up, go down. But remember, this is a very subtle downward movement from this point forward. And this is the question for tomorrow. Is the momentum going to continue slowly to newer highs and then probably pull back, and then continue that volatility and staying up in this area in the 40s to 50s? Or is this going to have a slight pullback now and hit a newer low, right, and continue this trend? And then what will really confirm it is that we hit another peak and we hit another low, and it continues that trend. And silently, we're going on our way down, not just below $38, but to newer lows and newer support levels. So we need to be very vigilant on this, very careful. Right now, we're still up here, but I want every single investor to be aware of this slight downward trend. This is a downward trend. Like, you look at it, yeah, downward trend. I get it from that peak, but from the recovery point right here to here, it's a very subtle downward trend, almost quiet. You wouldn't even notice it. You would look at it and you're like, oh, wow, came here. We're moving sideways. We're kind of breaking even right now. As long as we stay above this, or the line keeps on breaking through, we're going to be fine. And that's something that we can miss. So we need to watch this very carefully. And also, I don't really use this that much, but for purposes of even being more vigilant, here their technicals are showing sell. They're showing sell. The moving averages are saying buy, but everything about it is saying sell for the 1 day. The 1 week is saying neutral, buy, strong buy, and the 1 month is saying sell, buy, and strong buy. So what does that mean? That means that we need to watch this carefully. As long as it stays above $38, there's an opportunity here. And if it breaks through $38, doesn't necessarily mean sell. You either have the option to get a larger position, or watch it very carefully and see what is going to be your option from that point forward. But this going back up to the 50s and 60s is a possibility if it continues to grow. I can't say exactly when it's going to happen. I think that if it stays in the 40s, there's a possibility to hit the 50s and 60s, probably by NIO day. And then if it rebalances and cools off after that, there's an opportunity to start growing for the whole year. Honestly, I don't know by how much. So that's something that we're going to have to watch carefully as well as this continues. Everything right now about NIO is watching carefully. How quickly is it moving down, and how quickly is it moving up? So resistance was broken through. Let's look at our new resistance based off the last couple hours of the day. And let's look at our support here, the lowest point reached in this slight pullback here that we could see. Now, there's a little bit of a higher point that was reached, was up here at 43.83. I'd write it down. Very important point to keep in mind if this resistance is broken through. Our 50-day moving average is 41.73. Very important point. As long as we're above it, we're in bullish territory. The moment we're below it, we're in bearish territory. And as I said, we're in a slight tug of war here, But right now, as you can see, this is going in that downward trend, even starting from up here slowly, and then it kind of got a little steeper, and it's a little steeper. My question here is, could this momentum continue, or are the bears going to tear this down back down to around this area, and then we have a small little upward peak coming up? We got to watch it throughout the rest of the week to see this. A small upward peak, right, kind of brings itself back down, upward peak, and then starts to bring itself down to newer lows. That's what I really want to watch for, because then that means that this is subtly and very quietly moving its way down, and we need to see how far down this is going to go. So I want every single investor, and I'm emphasizing that, to be aware of that stuff. But based off of the technicals here, they're saying it's a buy and a strong buy based off the moving averages for long term. So that's interesting as well. So here we are, right, with our support. And if this support gets broken through, it's going to get closer to the 50-day moving average, and you're going to want to watch this closely. The 50-day moving average is not that far at 41.73, and our support is 41.97. You have a very small window to see how the stock is reacting if it breaks through support before it gets to 50-day moving average and ends up in bearish territory. So you want to keep that in mind. But for the bulls to stay above the 50-day moving average, continue this momentum, and hit newer highs, they're going to have to break through resistance. And I want every single investor to be aware of that. But this support is important as well, due to the fact that we're already in bullish territory. And in bullish territory, if it gets broken through, there's a very small window between bullish territory, 50-day moving average, and ending up in bearish territory. But let's look at our resistance. This resistance is 43.68. Very important for the bulls. I want to emphasize this. They need to break through it. Need to. There's no if buts about it. There's no hanging out around it. There's no, slightly touching it or breaking through it and falling right back down. No. They need to break through it, 43.68, and turn it into a support. By doing so, they start to work their way up to newer highs. They're pulling further away from the 50-day moving average, and they can start to work their way up to newer resistance levels and newer highs. So I want every single investor to be aware of that. We're currently sitting at 43.40, and 43.68 needs to be broken through by the bulls. As always, if you found this video helpful and informative, please do so and subscribe. Don't forget to click on the bell to turn on all notifications and not miss a single video that I post. Share this with your friends and community, and don't forget to hit the like button to let me know you watched this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let's make some money.